So like a month ago, I got asked on one of my Green One videos to do a ranking video of the original ClickTeam games for Five Nights at Freddy's on console. So I decided to get the mic out again, even though my last attempt didn't actually go very well. But I'm here trying to rank these modes on console because why not? Had the while for an idea from Ambience's video nearly 2 years ago. And since I've now beaten all the modes myself, I think I have a decently valid opinion. I'm gonna completely regret saying that later, but oh well. But I just want to get a couple things out the way before I even start. First thing, this is completely my opinion, so if you disagree with anything, just tell me and don't completely slate me for it. Second of all, I'm not going to do any self-imposed challenges, so no hardest Saturday or 50-20 no death coin shit. I'm not touching that yet. What was this video is completely unscripted because I think I just talk better unscripted than scripted, so yeah, I will just get straight into it now. So in my opinion, the max mode of the original game is probably the easiest, even though I struggled with it the most initially. But once you learn the modern strategies now, it's very doable by probably anyone. It's a lot easier than it used to be. And if people still use the old strategy, it'd probably be middle of the list, I think. But with strategies now, it's just so easy. The only problem I have, the only real challenge I have with this mode is that the night is so long, so fatigue can easily just set in and get you killed by making a silly mistake. But overall, that it's like a 2-second cycle for the entire night, so it just makes it feel a lot longer as a result. But basically, the cycle is put the camera on 4B to stall Freddy, and then just keep spamming the camera button and the door button to see if Bonnie comes to the door. If you notice Chica disappear off the 4B camera, then just check the door light on the right side. And if you feel uncomfortable and Chica's at the door, or even if she's not showing up for a while, you can you can flip down the right door and check Foxy to make sure he's not escaping at all. But I've never had Foxy escape once using this strategy on any of my winning runs, but it's just more like a safety precaution than anything, just to check he doesn't sneak up on you and kill you from nowhere. But you can very much do this night without Foxy even progressing a single stage once I've done it. I did it during my first winning run, and I've done it pretty much every run since. I think one time though we got past the first stage, so it's not impossible for him to get out, but it's very unlikely he'll escape with this strategy. But overall, I'd say this mode's very easy nowadays compared to 2014, and it's very doable by anyone. It's, in my opinion, the easiest mode, as there's not much luck involved either. It's just because the AIs are uncapped. Freddy will just dart straight towards you, so there's nothing with him. Foxy still has a bit of RNG to him, but that's just Foxy things. And then Bonnie and Chica are the max AI, but they have a bit of movement tree differentials, so they have a little bit of luck to them, but it's not unavoidable. It's not, it just straight up kills you. But with that said, I will move on to the next mode on the list. Coming up ahead of the first game, in my opinion, is Pizzeria Simulator. Now, initially I was going to put this at the bottom of the list until I remembered sometimes this game is just a case of if you get unlucky enough, you just die. There's not anything you can do to avoid it, because if you get sandwiched in on both sides by two different characters, then you can just die even with everything off and no ads or anything, because there's a 10% chance the characters can just hear you from nowhere, even with no noise at all. So sometimes you can just die, but thankfully, depending on strategy you use, the night's not super long. But depending on the strategy, the night can either be 2 minutes or about a good 10 minutes, so longer than the first game. But this is the only mode on the list where the strategy alters how long the night is. So it just depends on which one you want to use. Really, it's a case of, do you want to use the riskier and shorter strategy, or use the safer, longer strategy? It's all just down to that, and if you want to take any more chances, then there already are. But this night's not. It's not horrible. I don't enjoy playing it, but I think it's okay in terms of its difficulty. It's still very doable by anyone, but again, you always have the just 10% chance of just dying to anyone, which I think is a bit silly, but it is what it is. So I don't really have much left to say about Pizzeria Simulator, so I'll just move on to the next game. For third easiest, I've put FNAF 3's Aggressive Nightmare. I do think this mode is a lot harder than the original two. The last two that I just mentioned. Mostly because there's a bit more knowledge involved with this game. You need to know quite a bit. You also can't really react to anything because Springtrap is so fast in this night. What people would ideally do is try and predict where he goes, which half of the time just doesn't work, and sometimes he just fails to listen to the lore. So there's a lot more luck involved, and this is often considered the most luck-based of the modes nowadays from the vanilla games. And it's very I'll basically say its reputation isn't unprecedented. It's very kind of strange in my opinion, because it's very misleading. People often think this is like, oh, FNAF 3 is just stupid easy, but then you try and play this mode yourself and you try and beat it again and again and again until you realise it's kind of hard, not even because of skill, and it kind of makes it unfair as a result for the most part. There are people making all sorts of strategies now where they can try and reduce the RNG with Springtrap, but it's just not completely possible to get the RNG down to 0, because again, he has a 1 in 7 chance to not listen to the lore at all, and half of the time he can just bolt straight to you and kill you if he feels like it. But I'd say this mode still ranks lower than the rest of them because it's not the hardest mode to learn, and it's not got a lot of mechanical skill overall, but it's got a lot of RNG that you just can't avoid. Sometimes you can die at 12 AM from Springtrap just bolting straight to your office, or sometimes you could sit in Cam 6 all night. It's really just down to what Springtrap feels like, whether you win or not. But with that being said, I will move on to the next mode. So, at 4th place, I've put Five Nights at Freddy's 4, Blind Mode, Mad Freddy, Insta-Foxy, and I will be completely honest, despite the fact that FNAF 4 is my favourite game in the series, I didn't have fun with this mode at all. First of all, it's blind, so it makes it kind of boring by default, but also I had a lot of problems with Bonnie. Chica wasn't so bad for me, but Bonnie, because of the Mad Freddy cheat, makes it so you have to check Freddy twice every cycle. Bonnie can just come back. It seems to happen to Bonnie mostly. He just comes back extremely quickly when you've left when he's left the door, and he can just kill you, which kind of feels a bit unfair sometimes. I do think genuinely the only problem with this is Mad Freddy, because it makes it so you can't really be safe all the time, and you can't use the original cycle that you used for the first 8 nights, which make the original 4 a breeze. But it's also, in this version of the game, Chica is actually bugged, so I had to use a timer as an actual, I needed it, so I couldn't win without it, because the way Chica's bugged is she doesn't make any footsteps at all, whether she's come into the door or when she's left it, because I don't know why. But what I did was I used the timer, and when I would close the door I'd check if it was over a 3-second interval, and when it was, I'd open the door, flash the hole so the cupcake didn't kill me, and then just turn back. But I think Nightmare is very tense. I will be honest, I felt like I almost had a heart attack when I beat this mode, because I got to Nightmare and I was very anxious during this mode. I had a lot of I had a bad hyperventilation problem after beating this. I was probably hyperventilating for about 20 minutes after this, which is more than I've done for anything else. But this mode, it wasn't the hardest, and it didn't take me very long, but it's just very stressful, and I think it's just a Five Nights at Freddy's 4 thing. It's a very stressful game, and Nightmare is probably the easiest part of the night for me, because of all the new strategies that have come out for him. But I think the original 4 and Bonnie exclusively is just a pain. So I think that's the only thing for me is Freddy and Foxy themselves are okay, but because of the Freddy challenge, it makes Bonnie and Chica significantly harder as a result, because you've got less time to check them. So it makes it a lot tighter, where you can either spend slightly too long at the doors and die to Freddy, or you spend not enough time at the doors, or you try and do it too quickly and you die to Bonnie and Chica as a result. So that's all from me on Five Nights at Freddy's 4, but I'd say if you don't believe in how hard this mode is, try it yourself. Well, actually don't, but it's probably my least favourite challenge from Five Nights at Freddy's 4. My favourite probably being Night 8, because it's just fun. But that's all I have to say on this game. I hate this mode, man. It's so hard. Sister Location. Man, this is probably my favourite max mode on the list. Just because there's nothing really that can get you killed from nothing. Well, except for one thing, but it's not because of any of the animatronics programming themselves. It's actually from the design of the private room on the console version. And I think this is on Xbox as well, but how this works is, basically in the private room, in the end of the boss fight, whichever door your cursor is closest to, if you press the close button, so like for PlayStation it's X, I think for Xbox it's A, and I don't know what it is for Switch, but if you press that, the door closes even though you're not on the button or using the hotkey. And that comes into a big problem when you factor in Bonnet, because sometimes you think you booped a nose, but you close the door by accident, and you completely miss her and the run's just over. But I'd say Bonnet is the hardest part of this night, no doubt. Yendo is a bit tricky, because sometimes you just feel like, oh, I need to flip the camera again to make Yendo appear so I can get him to go away. But sometimes that can actually get you killed pretty easily, so you have to get used to looking out for the top of the screen and making sure he's there, he's not there, and then sticking to your choices afterwards. Because if you flip too many times and he doesn't show up and then Bonnet happens to, then you can very easily lose track of Bonnet and just die to her, which will probably cause you to throw your controller out the window or something. But another problem I had with this mode was Biddy Bab, and I know what that sounds like, because Biddy Bab is easy, but for the life of me, half of the time I didn't know whether she was at the door because I couldn't hear her, and half the time I'd completely forget about her and just not close the door and die, or I'd close the door too early and waste a bit of power, which is a bit of a nuisance because this mode is the mid patch in terms of power, so it uses power from normal difficulty instead of easy, so it's a bit harder than the PC version as a result, if it wasn't already hard enough. But I'd say for this mode, use the Gribbon 1020 strat of just turning up the dead zone and turning down the cursor speed and putting it into the centre of the room so you can catch Bonnet's nose every time. It saves you having to run around the office for her without any control, because she's really fast in this mode. So but aside from that, I'd say everyone else is pretty easy. Ballora, it's just muscle memory over time. You know when she's at the door, you know when she's not. Freddy, you just need to listen for which side his footsteps go to. Foxy, you just need to keep an eye on and shut the door when he comes out the curtain. And then everyone else just kind of falls in. Lolbit is not bad at all. And then the guys on the cameras, you just shock them when they appear, and it's no real challenge, but it takes a while to build up the muscle memory to beat this one, because I remember when I beat it the first time, I was on 1 to 2 a.m. for about 3 hours, and then I was consistently getting to about 4 or 5 a.m. until I beat it, and I think now I've beaten it about 11, 12 times, so it's second highest amount of times I've beaten a max mode. I'll get into the first one in a minute, but overall I'd say Sister Location is easily the best mode in the series, without a doubt. But it's very tricky to learn, but it's very consistent once you learn it, so I'd say it lands here at number 3 as a result. So now I'll get on to the next one. Now, before you raise your pitchforks and start trying to torch me, I get people will say 50-20 is easily the hardest max mode in the series. I disagree with this, personally, but that's only because I'm actually decent at this, because I'm kind of decent at this mode. For me, it's mostly just getting lucky with Exor spawns, because I don't like anything past 11 seconds. Getting lucky with coins as well, which, I'll be honest, I've lost this mode more to restarts than to actually dying to anyone. And I'll be honest, Toy Freddy's not as hard as people say he is. He's still like a fair RNG. He's still a bit of a nuisance sometimes when he can just kill you, but he's not the worst part of the mode by a country mile. I'd say it's probably the death coin sequence and then Foxy, because sometimes Foxy just feels unfair. It doesn't get on the table, then he gets in your office about 1 a.m. and the run's just kind of over. But I'd say once you have the right settings for this mode and you're comfortable with what you're doing, it's very easy, it's very doable. Once you learn all of it, it's just the learning part that takes the time. And it can really take it out of you. I mean, I remember the first time I beat this, it took me 10 hours, which isn't as long as the number 1 spot. But once I've beaten it the first time, I tried to do it a second time, and it took me a good few months. But after I beat it the second time, I've beaten it about another 14, 15 times since. So it's very consistent. It's not the most consistent mode, but it's definitely one of the most consistent in the main series. But it's just a case of learning the mode, learning to optimize it, and improving your skill from there. It's not as luck based as it may seem from the earlier days, or as people make it out to be. The most luck based parts are just Foxy and Toy Freddy, really. Toy Freddy, he's definitely the easier of the two, in my opinion, because you just let him go. He's very tricky with the cursor, but again, that's just muscle memory over time. And once you learn everything there is to know about this mode, it's just about your muscle memory and your consistency from doing it over and over and over again. But I'd say this is probably my second favourite behind Sister Location, and this is the one I've beaten the most, with about 17 wins, and a few green runs as well, with my record being 29 at the moment. But it's not the hardest mode, but it's very hard to learn, and trust me, the death coin sequence, if you know how to do it, even if you know everything about it inside and out, it will destroy you for a few hours before you learn it properly. Because that's just the nature of 50-20 mode. It's very chaotic, it's very, what am I doing, and then someone kills you. It's a very vicious cycle, and it can make you really angry really easily. But if you control your nerves, if you control your anger with this mode, it's very doable by anyone, I think. But now we're going on to number 1, which I think is a lot worse, so I'll be there. So I know any sweat at this game will tell me, oh, look, it's skill-based mode, it's like number 7. No, I very much disagree. This is, in my opinion, the mode I struggle with the most. Because for FNAF 2, you need to have knowledge on everyone. You need to know strategies inside and out. And most of the consistent strategies nowadays have timers, which for some people they won't use because they think it's hacking. And I mean, fair enough, if they think it's hacking, then it's hacking to them and they're not going to use it. I don't think it's cheating personally, but it's a widely debated thing. I don't think it's cheating personally, but if someone doesn't want to do it because it seems like cheating, then that's fair enough to them. They don't want to do it with a timer. But it's not like a case where it's got a timer in it but built into it already, like Ultimate Custom Night does, and it's not like the case of you can do it without a timer, but it's just a bit harder, like Sister Location is per se. It's kind of, you make it more skill based and use a timer, or you leave it more up to luck and don't use the timer, because everyone in this game is completely set on intervals, and sometimes that can just kill you anyway, regardless of what you do. And one of the big topics for this category of luck is Toy Bonnie, because sometimes he just sits in the vent forever and doesn't want to come out, and it can just ruin your day completely. And it makes it very frustrating to play sometimes. But I'd say this mode is also very stressful because you've got Foxy in the hall all the time, and if you miss him once, you're just dead. And sometimes you can think, oh wait, I need to flash Foxy, You pull up the mask, you flash him, and he kills you. But Foxy's, once you know how he works in depth, he's very manageable, but sometimes he can still just kill you if he feels like it. But he's not the worst part of the mode, in my opinion. The worst part of the mode in this game is easily the music box. I get why it's there, but I wish it was a lot less strict than it is, because if you mess up something or someone takes too long to do something, the music box is just going to unwind and you're pretty much just cooked, because the puppet will just escape whether you like it or not, unless you're on the brink of her coming out and you can stall her in time by flashing the camera. Then there's not really much you can do. You just have to restart. And what puts this mode a lot higher, well, not a lot, but a bit higher than 50-20 for me, is that the difficulty is constant. It's not the case where most of the difficulty is in the first 30 seconds or the first 40 seconds. This mode, the difficulty is throughout the entire 7 minutes of the night, and you have to keep that, and you have to know that, and you have to know how the game works for 7 whole minutes. You can't just relax after the first minute. You have to keep consistent, and it's just, if one thing falls apart, then your entire strategy just unwinds and you're just dead. So that's why I think FNAF 2 is number 1 for me, even though I would say this game is probably nerfed on console because it's a bit easier to get in and out of the cameras and onto the mask. But one thing I don't like about this console port is the fact that the mask, and this is the same for Ultimate Custom Night, the mask has a sort of buffer, like an input buffer, where you can't just mash the button instantly and it instantly brings it down. You have to wait for a split second before bringing the mask down, otherwise if you click it too early it won't come down at all and you'll just die. So you have to time the mask decently well, but again, it's just muscle memory. And you'll gain that over playing the original 6 nights anyway. So, but I'd say this mode overall is my least favourite on the mode, just because it feels so random half the time, and it's very stressful to play as well. I don't like modes that feel stressful and feel unfun as well. It's just not a great experience. So if you want to complete a max mode in these games, I wouldn't say play this one, because this one's just horrible. I don't like it, and it's very agreed on that this mode's just bad overall. So that's all I have to say about this mode. Just don't play it. So that's where I end this. So thanks for listening to me rambling for about a good 30-40 minutes maybe. I don't know how long this video is going to be as of recording this, because it's going to take me a couple days to edit it even more. But if you enjoyed any of this, if you hate my placement to the top 2, I don't think you will, but if you did, please like and subscribe if you feel like it. If you don't, you can just undo it. But it's taken me a while to put this video together, so anything's appreciated from any support or any constructive criticism in the comments. I would greatly appreciate it to help me improve in the future. But for now, that's everything from me, so I'll just go, I guess. Bye. Also join the Discord, links in the description.